Alright, peace and greetings, YouTubers. Okay, so I'm trying to hold up my end of the bargain where I upload at least one video every day this week. So bear with me because this is a journey. I want to already go to bed right now, but I'm going to do this video because I said I would. By the way, I'm doing another Your Questions, My Answers video, so send your questions via inbox, comment section, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you follow me on. Anyway, so I've been meaning to get to this topic for so long the past few weeks. I just haven't had an opportunity to do so because of what I talked about in my past video. But now that I have some time to really do a video, here we go. So, with all that's going on in the news and with all that's taking place currently when it comes to relationships with the police and the black community, and the fact that we continue to get killed and often shot by the police, and we're always being told that we've killed ourselves because, oh, so-and-so was just so distraught about a broken tail light that they couldn't possibly face another day. They hung themselves. And oh, another person was so, they were caught with an ounce of marijuana and they just couldn't bear to think about that community service they would have to do, and they just couldn't live anymore. You know, they think we're stupid. So dealing with all of that, my question is, why are we still marching and protesting? And what are we marching and protesting about? Because I'm noticing that it's starting to become extremely excessive, but there's nothing that is coming about from this marching and protesting. And basically, this is my 2 cents. I'm not against marching and protesting and singing and, you know, doing all that shebang and the whole glitz and glam, but I'm against it when it becomes excessive and when it becomes basically the solution with no long-term goal or no long-term vision at the end that we're trying to, you know, accomplish. What I notice is, well, actually, let me just say this. This is what I think the purpose of marching is. When something happens and something affects us as a community, and I'm speaking in the black community, or no, I have to say anybody. When something happens and it pisses you off, your immediate response is you want to let people know that you're frustrated. You want to let people know that you're angry. That's where the marching comes in. Marching is immediate. Marching is the immediate emotional response to something that's happened. But marching is not the long-term solution. So when you think about it, when the George Zimmerman issue happened with Trayvon Martin, yeah, there were a march or two, and you know, everybody was frustrated, but 3 years later, no one is marching about George Zimmerman anymore. When you look at Jordan Davis or the Jenna 6, and, you know, all these different instances of things that have happened, we're not marching about those anymore because we're no longer emotionally attached or reactive to that situation anymore. It still hurts our heart and pisses us off, but there's been so many other instances and issues that have taken place that our focus is no longer on George Zimmerman because he already got away with murder. What else can we do? That's kind of how people look at it. So marching is immediate, and I see marching as a way to come together in solidarity and a way to come into a larger camaraderie with people who are like-minded and share the same ideologies and viewpoints that you do. It's more of a therapeutic release of your energy so you don't go and do something crazy. So you know what? You know, like when the Eric Garner decision happened and they said we're not going to charge any of the police and anything like that, we're all pissed off. We go out into the streets, everybody gets together. Hey man, I feel the same way you do. I'm pissed off too. Oh, like, oh, this is terrible. But you know what? I got your back, you got mine. I'm glad there's somebody out here that feels the same way I do. All right, let's do something. And see, that should be the next checkpoint where it's like, okay, well, we got all these people mobilized. Now let's organize and get something done. But what happens is, everybody always mobilizes and nothing happens. There's a bunch of different organizations and movements that are trying to organize, and they're trying their hardest because Black Lives Matter. They're really trying to get that off the ground, and there's a bunch of other ones. But at the same time, it's like nothing is getting done. And honestly, in my opinion, I think what's keeping Black Lives Matter afloat right now is the fact that right when things fizzle down, somebody else gets killed by police and it refuels the flames every time. And now it's become a very common phrase, you know, that people are using. But at the same time, now you got these stupid all lives matter people trying to shut that down every day of the week. But anyway, the purpose, in my opinion, of marching is the immediate emotional response, to get everyone collective and calm, to become logical. Because you got to think about it, emotion and logic don't go together. But if you can get everybody together in a camaraderie where it's, okay, you know what, cool, all of you people feel the same way I do, what are we going to do now? You know, that is the purpose of marching, in my opinion. But people have turned that into the solution. Oh, we're just going to march every day for 100 days. Okay, cool. That's awesome. But if I'm some terrible person who doesn't care about your mission, and I'm the person that's doing the offending, you can march all day. That's fine. And I don't care. Like, honestly, if I'm some media... Oh, if I'm some crazy, let's just say I get promoted and all of a sudden I'm in charge of all radio and MTV at the same time. And I'm like, you know what? No more Taylor Swift. I don't like her. I think her music kind of sucks. she's really not all that great to me. Her writing is cool, but it's not anything. She's no Carly Simon, she's no Joni Mitchell, and vocally she sounds like trash live, and her concerts are pretty boring. And I just think that she's so big because she's a white girl. And I say that, and 30,000 Taylor Swift fans come to protest outside of my high-rise soundproof office every day. That's cool, but when I get tired of hearing them chant about "we shall make you listen to Taylor," after I get sick of that, I can just close the blinds. And so while y'all are out, or while the Taylor Swift fans are out there protesting and in solidarity, outside of my office, I'm just gonna go ahead in the freight elevator, and I'm gonna use the back garage, and I'm gonna pull out and leave from the back of the building and go home. The Taylor fans will still be out there at 2 and 3 in the morning, and I'm at home watching them on TV now on the news. And now they got to go to work at 5 and 6 in the morning, and now they're underperforming at work because they're sleepy. Like, that's literally how people look at black people when we go and do all this marching. Like, Al Sharpton gets on my nerves a lot with the marching, especially, I remember there was an issue with something with the fair housing or something. And he was like, well, we're going to march around the Department of Treasury 7 times, because in the Battle of, or 13 times, 7 to 13, because in the Battle of Jericho, they marched around. I was like, oh, God damn. Lord, Al, really? And of course, that's another conversation. I don't feel like doing it. I'm not going to bash my people today. But the thing about it is, that doesn't affect any change. Marching is cool, but marching just brings the awareness. And after a while, everybody's aware of your issue. And at this point, it's just annoying, kind of. And that's literally how white America is responding to the whole Black Lives Matter movement. They know what's going on. They don't want to admit it because it's going to make some of them realize that they benefit from a system that screws us over. So of course they're going to say all lives matter. And of course they're going to boo when you interrupt the Bernie Sanders rally. But my thing about that is, we should be giving all of our energy and focus to all these political candidates. Because the thing is, as long as they feel that they don't owe us anything, they're never going to fight for any of our causes. So, you can go and interrupt the Bernie Sanders thing and the Hillary Clinton. Speaking of Hillary, I told y'all, new Jim Crow, okay? Her husband, and I'm sure she was in there when he was making the decisions, that 3 strikes rule. I'm telling you, that's why half of us are in jail now. But, as long as they feel they don't owe us anything, they're not going to fight for anything that we're fighting for. That's why when you look at all of the success and all of the accolades that the LGBT community has been able to garner in the past few years, that's because the Human Rights Campaign and a lot of the organizations that focus on LGBT rights have put a lot of focus and money into Barack Obama's campaign. Because that's leading me into my second point, which is you need money to make things happen. When you affect commerce, when you affect the revenue, or when you affect the expenses, that is when people start to listen. So going back to what I was saying, like the Human Rights Campaign and a lot of the LGBT organizations, they donated so much money to both of Barack Obama's campaigns, which is why he feels, okay, you know what, this group of people, this demographic did a lot for me to get elected. They literally, it was like 100% support for Barack Obama, okay, coming from that community. I have to do something for them. The Latino community, I forgot what the organization was, but in 2008, they donated like $30-something million to his, or they raised $30-something million for his campaign. Okay, boom, well, we're going to do the DREAM Act, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And then, when you feel that there's something you owe because you realize that the people that you are ignoring have helped you get to where you are, and they play a pivotal role, you're going to do more. And that's the thing, we don't affect commerce as a community. We don't affect anything. It's cool to go out and protest and sing, but at the end of the day, that's not affecting anybody's money, that's affecting your money. Or because now you at work underperforming, or you done called in sick because you were out in the rain and you got a cold and now you can't go to work. That's how I look at that. And the thing about it is, one, going back to mobilizing. I said we always mobilize. Let me do a quick time check. Oh, I'm doing good. Okay, we always mobilize, but we don't organize afterwards. And it doesn't help that the black community is extremely divided on everything. And it's not all our fault, because a lot of it plays into a bunch of different things. But when you look at this whole situation, you have 15 different elements and perspectives that black people have. First, you got the black people who are like, F everything, we going to Africa, I don't give, just F America. Then you got the black community who's like, oh, well, you know what, I have my government job and I made it, and if you all just pull up your pants and pronounce your E's and R's and wear Crocs, you can make it too. And so then you got the new blacks who don't see color and the Raven-Symones, and then you got the black people that are like, let's just kill all white folks, just kill white. You got that demographic. Then you got the church crowd who doesn't want to do anything but pray and sing all day. And then it just goes on. And then when you go even deeper, anybody in the country who looks like us, doesn't all think the same way, because then you have the division between the African community, the West Indian community, the black community, and the Afro-Latino community, and them four groups don't get along, and then at the same time, all of us getting shot in the behind by the police, but nobody has a solution to getting anything done because we cannot agree on anything. And then you still got to deal with the fact that we're still running to Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson for solution. And they, listen, I'll give them another video. Anyway, so that is one of the big issues that I'm noticing. It's just that we're divided. And like, the thing is, people like to say, oh, well, marching works because look at Martin Luther King and blah, 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 blah. Here's what I'll say about that. And I'll tie the bus boycott in a second. But when we want to talk about Martin Luther King and marching, you know what? It's great. Yeah, we got the Voting Rights Act and we got the Civil Rights Act. Cool. But when you look at the time frame and the time period that happened, okay, it's 1964 and 1965. This is a time period where America really wants to be that imperial nation that's the moral authority of the world. However, all the countries that we bombed and destroyed after World War II have now rebuilt, and they're gaining influence. So it's a competition of what country has the most influence around the world. America doesn't want to look like a terrible place. We don't want clips of spraying people with hoses and getting bit by dogs to find its way into Sweden. Because then Sweden's not going to do, they're not going to want to do any business with us. So you know what, we'll go ahead and let the black people piss in the same toilets as us and eat at the same counter, but that's going to be about it. Oh, I guess y'all can kind of go to the same schools, but we'll create charter schools and a gifted program and private schools and everything else to make sure that you still don't really get what we get. You know, all that happens. So literally, the marching and the singing that happened, the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act wasn't a result of that marching and singing. It was a result of a bunch of larger things. But let me get to my point. So this is why I say commerce affects everything. And it's not always about just giving your money to somebody, but it could also be about choosing who you choose to give your money to or who you choose not to support. And I think, honestly, the black community needs to do a massive boycott of a lot of things. And I'm not talking about a blackout Friday where, oh, we're not going to shop on Black Friday. I think that's the stupidest thing ever. Why would you choose the day when they mark down everything to not shop? Just to go and buy everything at full price the next day. No, if you're going to boycott, it needs to be long term. We have to be willing to sacrifice that for months. Like if you look at the Montgomery bus boycott, that crap was successful. Not because, oh, they boycotted the bus and the bus company lost money. No, it worked in layers and it just spread into so many different elements. When you look at the Montgomery, like Montgomery literally went into a mini recession because of how impactful that boycott was. It was 22 or 23 months. One, nobody's riding the bus because all the black people ain't on it. A lot of white people have cars, they weren't on the buses anyway. All right, so black people are no longer riding the bus. Which means, okay, dang, the bus company's losing money. We got to fire bus drivers. We got to fire maintenance people. We have to fire people that work in the offices. Okay, well, now the buses don't have to use as much gas. So now the gas companies are losing money. Oh, before you know it, black people aren't even going to the white side of town anymore because they're doing everything on their own side of town. So Marianne's flower shop is losing business because, you know, Aunt Mabel isn't going to Mary Ann's flower shop because she's growing up her own flowers next to the turnips now. And before you know it, after 22 months, the entire section of the city that is being affected by this bus boycott is like, please, just let them ride the bus. They can sit by me. Yes. All right, and before you know it, we're on the bus. That's how that boycott worked because everyone was dedicated and on the same page long enough. And on top of that, then you had the people doing the, you know, the little carpooling and everything. Like they had that crap together. Okay, so that's what worked. When you look at us, we boycott one day. Oh, well, we're only going to shop at black businesses for one day. That's cool, but can you do it for like 5 months? You know, can you add that on? Time out. My time's winding down. Okay, like can you go a little bit more in depth? Like really, we have to literally boycott any company, any organization that benefits from our oppression, which means you're going to have to go and pull your money from anybody who supports any of these police, you know, systems or judicial systems that screw us over. So one, the first place I'll go after is Walmart. Think about where every Walmart is. Every Walmart that's located in this country is usually located either in some country bumpkin hick town where everybody does meth, or it's in the hood. All right, there's a reason that they do that. So stop shopping at Walmart. Let them lose all that revenue. If enough of us stop shopping there, that's one aspect. If enough of us stop shopping and supporting all these other crazy organizations and corporations that don't care about us, stop going to McDonald's. Y'all don't need, they don't even want to pay their workers nothing. Stop going there. Like all these corporations, stop supporting. And people are like, and I would say you go and you support black businesses. Let the money build in your own community so that money can matriculate and circulate within the black community. Because as soon as we get money, we give it to everybody else. And we wonder why we can't build our own communities up because we're always depending on all these politicians to do it for us. By the way, who don't care about us? Speaking of politicians and politics, the only way that we're going to get any real type of effective change is after we use our buying power to make and implement change, we need to put people into office that actually represent us, which means you have to flush out everybody. It doesn't matter if you have a black mayor, but the whole cabinet and everybody who works under him is terrible and they're racist and this, that, and the third. A black mayor is just a puppet sitting up there. That's exactly what happened with Barack Obama. He wants to do all this. Look who's under him, who he has to go and answer to. Congress. And they're letting him have it every single day. So you got to buy out all these corporations and all these lobbyists, these bootleg politicians. It works in so many layers, which means everybody has to be on the same page. Okay? And some people be like, oh, well, no, I don't think it's fair that you only shop at black businesses because it's not nice to, what about the poor mom and pop shops in your neighborhood? No, ain't no mom and pop shops in your neighborhood except for the Korean-owned nail salon and maybe the Indian store. And my thing is, you stop shopping at their stuff too, they'll start respecting you when you come in their store because they already look down on us anyway when we go in there. So, at the end of the day, if we really want to affect change, if we really want the police to stop shooting us in the ass every day, we need to let our money talk, okay? And affect commerce, affect revenue. Put some of these corporations in the red. Money freaking talks. When you start messing with people's money, that's when things change. Why do you think Donald Trump could give 2 F words about anything going on with him? He has so much money that nobody can shut him up because he has that much. But look at the other candidates. They're all walking on eggshells trying not to piss off anybody because they're trying to scrape together what few supporters they can get or whatever. So, think about it. Politicians have to be phony. How much time do I have? Okay, yeah. Politicians have to be phony. So, you want to get the votes of everybody. So you pretend that you care about all these different groups of people and this, that, and the third. Look at all these Republicans who now support gay rights. I'm like, wait a minute. Y'all didn't like them. Y'all didn't like that entire community for all of forever. And now all of a sudden, y'all support that. They support it because they need the votes, all right? All right, well, look at all these candidates who are all of a sudden being a little bit more lenient towards the Latino community, being a little bit more lenient towards the black community. They know it's election season, but once they get in, they don't care about us like that. So we as a community, let's make our money talk, okay? Let your money talk. And then also you build communities. I'm running out of time, so I can't keep talking forever, but we need to invest more time into our community as well. I think that's why for the last 5 years I've been running a community center, is because even though I may not be a rich person and I don't have energy to be out there marching and singing "We Shall Overcome" all day, cool. I'm gonna put my focus and my protest into the after-school programs, because it's one thing to be a teacher and one thing to teach kids, but it's another thing to make sure that the kids are still being guided in the right direction once they get out of school. But anyway, this video is really long. I'm wrapping it up. Subscribe, share your 2 cents. Thank you for watching. I'm out.